more injured in explosions at churches and hotels in Sri Lanka, according to the authorities there. Dozens died in blasts during Easter services at churches in Negombo and the eastern city of Batticaloa. In Colombo, worshippers were targeted at St Anthony's Shrine. 3 of the city's major hotels were also hit: the Kingsbury, the Cinnamon Grand and the Shangri-La. A short time later, there were explosions at another smaller hotel and in a private house. Britain's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka said some Britons were among those caught in the blasts. Our South Asia correspondent Regina Vaidyanathan reports.
They came here to pray on one of the most sacred days of the year. But just before 9 in the morning, the sanctity of their Easter service was shattered. As a violent bomb blast ripped through the historic St Anthony's Shrine in Colombo, worshippers scrambled to escape. Look closely at the left of frame. This amateur video is said to show the moment the explosion happened, smoke billowing from the church.
I heard the explosion and then the roof fell on us. We took the children and ran out from the rear door. But when I came to the hospital, I saw my brother-in-law and son on the ground.
At almost the same time, 2 other churches in the area were also hit by deadly explosions. Leaders speaking on behalf of the country's Christian minority called for peace and harmony in the wake of these horrific attacks.
I would like to call upon all to pray that all those who are injured may be healed soon, and that all these families who have lost someone may be consoled. I condemn to the utmost of my capacity this act that has caused so much of death and suffering to the people.
And it wasn't just churches. Bombs also exploded at 3 hotels popular with tourists. A number of foreigners are among the dead. The British High Commission in Sri Lanka said some UK tourists have been caught up in the blasts. It's unclear right now to what extent. Outside the luxurious Shangri-La Hotel, the scene of one of the explosions, investigators are surveying the damage. An eyewitness who was staying on the 25th floor told the BBC what happened.
We could hear 2 loud bangs and the entire room was shaking. I could see that a lot of guests being taken to different hospitals. There were casualties, both for the hotel staff and the guests.
As grieving relatives waited for Monday dates, 2 further blasts were reported. The sheer scale of these attacks suggests they were coordinated.
This is a serious situation aimed at destabilising the country and the economy. I strongly condemn this attack aimed at religious institutions and some hotels in the capital.
The island of Sri Lanka is on a state of high alert. Next month marks 10 years since the country's civil war ended. Today's blasts are the worst this country's seen for more than a decade. Regina Vaidyanathan, BBC News, Delhi.
Our reporter Azam Amin is in Colombo. Azam, tell us about the arrests that have been made.
Just 1 hour ago, police surrounded an area in Depatagoda, just a Colombo suburb area, and they have arrested 2 people. There were reports of a shootout, which is not confirmed, but 3 police officers have been also died. So far, 7 suspects have been arrested. The State Defense Minister said they believe that most of these were suicide bomb attacks, and he said one group is behind it, but he didn't name who is behind. That is what they're suspecting. He said there's a thorough investigation, and a police curfew has been imposed after the latest attack. 8 attacks took place, and after the 8th attack, police said there will be a fully countrywide curfew. They asked public to remain inside their houses, don't come out, and because the situation was panicking, there were a lot of rumors going about more attacks, and public were really worried, and social media, especially Facebook and WhatsApp, have been restricted because of the disinformation that's been spreading.
Azam, thank you very much, Azam Amin in Colombo. Well, the Pope has condemned the attacks in Sri Lanka, describing them as a cruel act of violence. Speaking at his annual Easter Day address at the Vatican, Pope Francis said he stands by the victims of the attacks, saying that Christians have been hit by mourning and pain. Our Rome correspondent James Reynolds reports.
Days after one Catholic monument in Europe was badly damaged by fire, attention turned to another of the church's most iconic structures, St. Peter's Basilica here in Rome. Under grey skies, worshippers, pilgrims and tourists gathered in St. Peter's Square. The Pope celebrated Easter Mass. He called for peace in conflicts in the Middle East, Africa and Latin America. From the Basilica's main balcony, he offered prayers for the victims of the attacks in Sri Lanka.
I heard of the serious attacks in Sri Lanka today with great pain and sadness that on Easter Sunday have brought mourning and suffering. I would like to express my closeness and affection to the Christian community, struck while it was gathered in prayer, and to all the victims of the cruel violence.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, this morning leading a service in Canterbury Cathedral, called on people to stand with Sri Lanka in prayer, condolence and solidarity.
The will to power leads to the murder of innocents in Sri Lanka. The utterly despicable destruction that on this holiest of days seeks to challenge the reality of the risen Christ.
The Queen, today celebrating her 93rd birthday, led the royal family to an Easter service at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. And in Paris, Catholic worshippers who normally go to Notre Dame for Easter gathered instead at the nearby church of Saint Eustache, a standing cathedral, until Notre Dame itself is rebuilt. James Roberts, BBC.